Listener-supported St. Gabriel Catholic Radio AM 820 brings you Family Sanctuary, a show that inspires living the gospel message in word and deed within our families. And now, Family Sanctuary with host Peggy Hartshorn.
Welcome to the Family Sanctuary, focusing on life-giving relationships and the family. I'm your host, Peggy Hartshorn, chairman of the board of Heartbeat International, that advances life-affirming pregnancy help around the world. And today I've got a really interesting program for you. Would you like to know more about what help and hope is available for issues that so many women and families are facing today? Issues surrounding pregnancy loss, miscarriage, abortion, adoption, infertility, foster care, foster parenting. So many challenges today in those areas and so many needs. I bet most of the people listening today, we have family and friends who have suffered through some of these issues that I just mentioned. What can we do to help them? All right. We know maybe our own personal resources may be somewhat limited, but is there more help available? And the great news is yes. We have a wonderful program in St. Paul's Parish in Westerville that serves the entire Diocese of Columbus. And it's called the Elizabeth Ministry. We're going to focus on that, Elizabeth Ministry. And the leader of that program is our guest today, Colleen Holton. Welcome, Colleen.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here to share about our ministry.
Oh, well, I'm excited to have you. And I've loved getting to know you over the phone. Now it's wonderful to meet in person. And Colleen is, she and her husband, Sam, have been married for 8 years. They were married in St. Paul, Westerville. Didn't waste any time getting involved, did you?
No, and actually, I went to kindergarten there. So I grew up at St. Paul. So that was my home parish and went to school throughout there. And so it's always been on my heart to give back to the church and to be involved in the church. And my parents are parishioners there. My siblings are parishioners.
Wow.
My aunt. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, I have a lot of family
beautiful.
there.
And so you could also see the needs of the parish. You know well the needs of the people who you went to school with, that you know their families. You know the real lives of the people in that parish. And it's true, isn't it, that there's so many issues now surrounding infertility, pregnancy loss, miscarriage, abortion, adoption, foster care. So Colleen, and you are so active in this ministry, leading it now. You and your husband also have 2 children, age 6 and 4.
Yes,
so
we have 2
beautiful.
little ones. And so it's been interesting to grow up in the church, and as my role has changed from a young adult to adulthood and now motherhood, and being involved in different parts of the church, it's kind of evolved as my life has evolved, and the people that I want to touch, want to be involved with, have evolved with me as well. So
That's
now
great.
My mom is actually part of this ministry. So it's a mother-daughter duo.
That's
we are,
good.
and we have lots of other women in the ministry.
So tell us, Elizabeth Ministry. Now, why is it called Elizabeth Ministry? Let's explain that first.
Sure. So Elizabeth Ministry is based on the scriptural story of the visitation mystery in the Gospel of Luke. That was the inspiration. We offer hope, help, and healing related to just all the joys, the challenges, the sorrows of family life. And we do that by like-to-like visits is what we call them. So if someone were to get in touch with our ministry and who has suffered from infertility or would like to adopt or is just going through a pregnancy, we have women in our ministry who have gone through the same thing, who have had miscarriages, stillbirth, who have been part of all the facets of adoption. And so we match one of our ministers with the person who's getting in touch with us to do a like-to-like visit, just in the way that Mary and Elizabeth did back in the biblical days.
That's beautiful. And these issues that you mentioned are so complex. They are so complex.
Absolutely.
Adoption, grieving after an abortion, suffering, birth mothers issues, of course, foster parenting. There's so many issues. It's amazing, and so many complicated ways of dealing with them. But this way is it seems so simple, but it's profound.
It really is. And if you think back to the days of Mary and Elizabeth, women and families in general, they lived in these close-knit villages. They walked out their door and could see exactly, what phase of pregnancy their neighbor was in and how to minister to them, or what, how old their children were. And today, that's just not how we live. Our homes are physically far apart, and it's hard to get involved with that. So we want to go back to those days of just being there to offer the support and the love and the help to women who have been through these situations as well.
Well, I want to talk today on our program about some of the specific areas where you minister and what can be done. What can people expect if they're suffering or experiencing one of these areas that you might be able to work with and help with? Let's start with the area of miscarriages. Miscarriages are so much more common than people realize, I think, because a lot of times people don't talk about it.
And that's one of the things, is that when you miscarry, you're often encouraged by family and friends, don't say anything. Don't talk about it. Even when you find out you're pregnant, it's like, don't say anything until you're in the second trimester, because something could happen. And it almost diminishes your pregnancy into like, that's not an actual baby. It's just, it's not something that you should grieve over if something were to happen. And my own story, when we were pregnant with our first child, we were so excited to let our family and friends know. And when we were telling them, one of the things that someone said to me right away was, well, I wouldn't say that to anyone else until you're further along. And it was one of those things I just brushed off like, okay, yeah, of course. And the more I got to thinking of it, I was like, no, this person is not going to diminish this life within me, because even if something were to tragically happen, this is still my baby, and I can grieve over him or her if something were to happen. And so it's kind of getting that that societal misconception that this child is a child, regardless of how old he or she is.
Right. And we can rejoice in the conception of that child. That
absolutely.
Human life is beginning at so beautiful, even at those early stages. And I suppose when people say that, they want to kind of protect you from sorrow if you would have a miscarriage. But in a way, then that just keeps you probably from grieving, or keeps women from grieving who do have early miscarriages.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, if someone contacts us and is going through a miscarriage or has miscarried, we want to be there to say it's okay to grieve. You can cry. This is your child, regardless of whether, he took his first breath or not. Like, you are still a mother because of this child, and it's okay to grieve.
This is a place where it's safe to talk about that and express your feelings. What are some of the things you can help with if a person has experienced pregnancy loss? In addition, the most important thing is another person walking along with her or walking along with that family. What are some of the And I know this ministry focuses on some practical things as well. So what are some of the practical issues that this woman will need to go through, or the family, in this whole process that you can also help with?
A lot of times it's just the stages of grief as well, like which you would if it was an adult, a child that passes away. We have these prayer bags, we call them, and we put together a prayer shawl from our prayer shawl ministry. The women who make these have prayed over them as they've knitted or crocheted them. So we would take that to the woman,
and
to
a
the
prayer
mother.
shawl is a little shawl that she puts around her shoulders.
Yes, just to feel comfort, to know that she is literally surrounding herself with prayers. There are prayers that have been woven within this prayer shawl. So we provide the mother with that. We have a little, like a box of tea, some chocolate, some hand lotion, like just practical things that make you feel comfortable, make you, help you know that it's okay to grieve and it's okay to be sad and to just kind of tuck yourself away from the world for a while. So we do those little practical things like that, just to acknowledge that this happened and it's okay.
So can you, is this a common thing do a lot of people come to you for help in miscarriage?
Not as many as we would like, actually, although you don't ever want someone to have a miscarriage, of course, but we know that it happens, and it happens more often than what you would think. And so one of our messages is that we try to get out that we are here for you. Let us help you. Right. And if you're not comfortable with a face-to-face visit, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. We will pray for you. We will just leave this prayer bag on your doorstep. We actually took one to a grandmother's house just a few weeks ago because her granddaughter was having such a hard time and didn't really want to see anyone, but we wanted this to get to her and just for her to know that we were there.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And I'm sure the more you do this, the more women you serve, of course, that news is going to spread. Yes. And we hope the news will spread also through St. Gabriel Catholic Radio, which this may be a good time if someone is listening and saying, I know someone who needs help. How can they get this help from you? What should they do if a listener is hearing this story and would like to get the help of Elizabeth Ministry?
Sure. So I first want to make it really known that, yes, we are a ministry of St. Paul, but we do minister to anyone in the diocese and even women who are not Catholic. So we do have women who are not Catholic, friends, family members. We would love to minister to them as well. So it's not just within St. Paul's. So your best thing to do would be to contact the St. Paul's Church, the office, and they can direct you to myself or another woman within the ministry, and we will connect that way. Whichever you're more comfortable with, calling, emailing, whatever you want, we are here.
What is the number?
So the number is 614-882-2109, and that's the St. Paul's Church office phone number, and they can direct you from there.
Great. Do you know the email?
Ooh,
that's all right.
No, I don't. I don't. I guess I should have come prepared with that.
No, that's okay. But at Elizabeth Ministry, so ask for help. You can say, I know someone who needs miscarriage help. If you remember Elizabeth Ministries, that's great, and Elizabeth they will get to you. That's wonderful.
You can also go to the website is elizabethministry.org, and that's the main website for the Elizabeth Ministry International movement, but within there you can search for chapters. So if you know someone who isn't even in the Columbus Diocese, but is elsewhere, chances are there's a Elizabeth Ministry chapter near them. So you can also search in that way to connect them.
ElizabethMinistry.org, did you say?
Yes.
Okay, ElizabethMinistry.org. Well, that's great. Well, let's talk about some of the other issues that you deal with. By the way, let me reintroduce you too, for those who have perhaps just joined the show. Our guest today is Colleen Holton, and Colleen and her husband Sam were married at St. Paul's in Westerville. They still are members there. In fact, she grew up there. Now has 2 children, and she is really the leader of a wonderful ministry at St. Paul's, but a group that serves the entire diocese, and that's called Elizabeth Ministry. Elizabeth Ministry is inspired by the visit of Mary to Elizabeth and the one-on-one support that women can give to women who are dealing with any issues relating to their fertility, motherhood, particularly miscarriage, loss, pregnancy loss, post-abortion, adoption, infertility. So, and that it's such a broad range of issues, isn't it, Colleen? Because, Of course, a woman's fertility affects her entire life from the time she's a teenager.
Yes.
And so all these issues that related to our gift of fertility are very important in the lives of women and their families. Let's focus a little bit on the issue of infertility and leading into adoption. And I know one of the things that your chapter sponsored a few years ago is a panel. You were telling me about the panel you did on adoption. It included an attorney, birth mothers, adoptees, adoptive parents, foster parents, people who had suffered from infertility. And that sounded like a wonderful thing. I hope you'll be able to do something like that again in the future. But you have so many contacts with people who represent all these different walks or experiences that relate to infertility. Tell us about some of the things that you have done, people that you have helped in relationship to these issues.
So we have a large group of women within our Elizabeth Ministry who have experienced adoption in some form. We have international adoption, domestic adoption, foster to adopt, disrupted adoptions, and women who still have relationships with their children's birth families, so open adoptions as well. And so we really can minister to any of those facets of adoption. And we want to spread the word that adoption is an option. and that was kind of our panel a few years ago, is we had people who represented all aspects of adoption, just to get the word out that it's not as common today as what it was.
Adoption is not.
Adoption is right. Yes, correct. And especially international adoption. But it is happening, and it is something that you should think about, regardless of whether you've had infertility or just choosing to add children to your life. And adoption, it's not something that is shrouded in secrecy anymore. It's out there, and children know they are adopted, families know they are adopted. And a lot of times you do have relationships with the birth families as well. So your own family is growing by that means. And
all of those things, all of those avenues, those beautiful, beautiful options are complex, and sometimes they involve grieving.
Yes.
They involve celebrating. They involve remembering. There are lots of challenges involved, even working through how to adopt, how to do foster care, what are the good resources. And you have people, again, with the whole way that Elizabeth Ministry operates. It's a one-on-one ministry.
Yes.
Like Mary to Elizabeth.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so it's wonderful that you have people in your network who really have experienced all those things. I think your own family has experienced adoption, right?
Yes. So I am the proud sister of my younger sister was adopted from Guatemala when she was 3, and she's now 24 years old. So that was a long time ago. But my family has stayed in touch with the orphanage that she came from, the nuns who raised her in this orphanage when she was just a baby. And actually, I'm going back to Guatemala in January to that same orphanage to visit the nuns and some of the children who have grown up there. So it's, yes.
Is Guatemala still open for adoption to the U.S.?
Unfortunately, no. Many countries have shut down adoptions, unfortunately. So Guatemala is not one of them. There's still opportunities to sponsor children in these countries to help them still have a great life. But unfortunately, adoption to the United States is not an option anymore.
Mm-hmm. And that's partly because countries I know have started thinking we need to step up and care for our own orphans. Yes. I think that's sometimes been a rationale for closing that, but it's difficult for people who want to adopt now.
It is, and especially since adoptions or international adoptions specifically are on the decline, more people are turning to domestic adoptions, and the closed adoptions are just not happening anymore. Birth families want that.
And by closed adoptions, let's define.
Oh, yeah, sure. So closed adoptions would be where you have no contact with the birth family at all. Records are sealed, and that's just how it is. It's a closed adoption. And now many states have laws that records will be opened regardless of whether the adoptive family, wants them or not, but they will be open when the child turns 18. So that's really led adoptions to be more of an open concept. So right from the beginning, you have a relationship with the adoptive family, with the birth family, whether it's grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, they are all part of this adoption circle with you.
Mm-hmm. Or at least they can be.
Yes,
I think
they can be.
There are choices in adoption now.
Absolutely.
Openness.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So there are different levels.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I know when my husband and I we adopted 2 children as infants. And
I didn't know that.
Yes. Our son Tim was only 3 days old, and our daughter Katie was 8 days old.
Oh, wow.
And their mothers could have chosen adoption. They could have chosen abortion, but they chose adoption. Our children were born fairly soon after the Roe v. Wade decision, when abortions were really skyrocketing in numbers. So we're very thankful to their birth mothers. But in those days, adoption was totally closed.
Yes.
Birth mothers had to close the records. Adoptive parents couldn't know much at all about the situation of the birth mother. And so there were some benefits to that. There were definitely some drawbacks. But now we have this idea of openness so that various levels of openness can occur. Tell us about, I know you have, you mentioned domestic avenues for adoption now, sometimes starting with foster care.
Yes.
Parents start with foster care, and then if the children are released for adoption, they adopt those children. Are there people in your network who have done foster care to adoption?
Yes, we do. And we have one lady who, her family, they had biological children, and then they decided to foster, and it turned into an adoption situation. And they've actually added to their family as their adoptive children have had siblings born as well from their birth mother. And the birth mothers directly contacted them again to say, would you take this child? Would you take this other child? And they have. And it's such a beautiful thing that they are so open to more children in their family. And for them, it wasn't a matter of infertility to adopt. It was, we want to add children. We want to give these children a stable home, a stable and loving home, while at the same time maintaining somewhat of a relationship with the birth mother as well, just to let her know that, we are taking care of your child. Like, we know what a sacrifice it is for you to place your child with us, and we acknowledge and we respect that, and we want you to know that we are giving them the best care that they can have.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the ways that people who have gone through this actually minister to couples who are interested or who have also gone through it?
So we, if you were to contact our chapter of Elizabeth Ministry, we could pair you with a couple who has gone through whatever facets of adoption you are interested in. And they can help walk you through the process. They can recommend the agencies they've used, resources books they've read. If you have children already in the family, great resources for the siblings, because that's often a new thing, is you are sometimes disrupting birth order.
Yes.
And that's a huge thing for children who are already in the family, who have their place not really removed from that place, but it is different. If you were the baby of the family and now you have another baby of the family,
or you were the oldest.
Yes, exactly. So we,
if you're a middle child, you may still be a middle child.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And we all know what middle children have their own issues. So, but yeah, so we can match you with people who have gone through this, and just to say, I understand what you're feeling. I know what it is. I've been there. Here's how we've helped. Here's, a social worker we've worked with, or a therapist, or, let's look at something else. So.
People helping people.
Yes.
And then introducing resources.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So many people, I feel alone when they're facing these kinds of issues and problems. And I'm so glad that you're there and
Thank you.
can be
We
such a
are
wonderful
too.
resource. What about birth mothers who have made this heroic choice of adoption for their child? You can also help match up birth mothers.
Yes, we have women in our Elizabeth Ministry who are birth mothers and who have placed a child for adoption. We have one who now has contact with the child that she placed. So there's that whole aspect of if you want this to be an open adoption and what that might entail down the road. Exactly. So we, yes, you'd be surprised at how many people we actually have within our network who, who we can match and who we would love to match.
Yeah.
And we would love to do that.
Adoptees. You have people who are adoptees.
Yes, we have adoptees, both domestic adoptees, international adoptees. My sister, for one, is always happy to talk with other, even young adults as you're kind of growing and going through the different phases of your life. You definitely have different questions when you're a teenager versus a young adult versus a mother yourself. So we do have adoptees that are mothers, ones who are young adults and ones who are middle school, high school.
What are some of the issues that adoptees go through? Some people don't consider adoption because they think my child will never be happy. Always not knowing. Is this a common feeling of adoptees?
It can be, but it's important to understand that it's not always. So we do have an adoptee in our group who is a grandmother herself, and she has never once wanted to search out her birth family. It's just something that has never been on her heart to do, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that, either. And so it's important not to make the person feel like, oh, well, you should have questions. You should be questioning, you should be wanting to know this, because it's okay if you don't. And there's a lot of adoptees, especially who have been adopted international, who just don't have that option. It's just not there, that they could ever find their birth family. And so I think that raises a whole host of other questions and just an acceptance of that.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And in our family, One of our children has had an interest and has met her birth family. Our son has not. So it is different.
Yes, it is.
For each person. And so many of these issues are. And that's why this beautiful model of the one-on-one matching and sorting out these issues with another caring, loving person is just a beautiful thing for Elizabeth Ministry.
Thank you.
I really love what you do.
Thank you so
and
much.
Would you tell us again how people could contact Elizabeth Ministry?
Sure, we would love to minister to you or a friend or a loved one if you know someone. So please contact St. Paul's in Westerville. The phone number is 614-882-2109, and that'll take you to the church office. And from there, you can explain your need. And even if you just want to get involved with Elizabeth Ministry, be one of our resources.
Yes. If you have a story in this area you'd love to share, that's great. Yes. I know you will take good care of them, Colleen.
Thank you. We will certainly try. We do our best. And we have a lot of fun. So we do also social things, dinners and get-togethers, and just within our own group, we minister to one another.
That's great. That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Our guest has been Colleen Holton, who is the leader of Elizabeth Ministry at St. Paul's in Westerville that serves the entire diocese with issues related to pregnancy loss, miscarriage, post-abortion, stillbirth, infertility, foster care, adoption, just a whole range of issues. Beautiful, beautiful ministry. So you are listening to the Family Sanctuary on St. Gabriel Catholic Radio, and I'm Peggy Hartshorn, your host. Our archives are at stgabrielradio.com, and we're streaming live on stgabrielradio.com. The Family Sanctuary is broadcast at 4 o'clock every Saturday and 2 o'clock on Sundays. So please join us again to strengthen our families and make them sanctuaries of life as God intends.
Family Sanctuary is a production of listener-supported St. Gabriel Catholic Radio, AM 820. Archives of Family Sanctuary with Peggy Hartshorn are available at stgabrielradio.com.